6-7 more fights and I'm naming names. One of the guys, obviously, you and Shakur got into it on Twitter. You was like, you wanted them 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's definitely one of them.
For sure?
Yeah, he's definitely one of them.
Do you think that's going to be your hardest fight?
Hell no.
Nah?
Wow.
Because he a good boxer, nigga. Like, that's when I look at y'all two as the best in the division.
How? Show me something that he did spectacular. Show me something that he did outrageous. Show me.
Right,
his power not outrageous.
Okay.
What defense?
You don't think he got defense?
He just jumped back. You never see him slip no punch. You never see him slip no punch. Go look at it. You see him back up from a lot of people. Back up, move around, move around. He don't got no technique. And his offense is the same thing. Go look at his fights.
So you
I
feel
probably
like
put him on game. Probably
yeah, hold on, but you feel like it's easy work though. You like.
We gonna punch. Look, then after you do the punch, I want you to jab, step jab. All right, we're gonna just keep punching. We're gonna switch. Ready? Go. Rip him out, rip him out, rip him out, rip him out.
Oh, God.
Work, work.
How big is that?
All the way up, 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 all the way up. Work, 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 work. Work, 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 work. Get up there, come on. Jump, jump.
I'm jumping.
There you go, jump. Come on.
Good way to get out. Right here. You good. Come on, Will. We want you in the ring. You don't be tired. That's why we want to switch your strength for the day up. You know what I'm saying?
I can't want to get in out the ring.
All right, get him down here, Will. He thinks it's going to feel better down there. Is it going to feel better down there, y'all? It might be worse.
4, 5, 3, 2,
Let's go, Will.
1.
Hurry, put your stuff on.
3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 3, 2, 3, 3. Push it out, push it out. 4, 4, 6, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 3.
You and Tank ever linked up in the ring?
Yeah, we sparred before.
Can we ever expect a fight?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's going to be one of the biggest fights in the world.
No cap.
I feel like how they talking about Earl and Bud Crawford, I feel like me and Tank going to be basically 2.0 of that.
Yeah.
Probably even bigger than that.
So what do you say to those who might be saying that, Tank is afraid of Shakur?
Afraid of what? He don't have no offense. Everything is defense. What have Shakur done? What have he done in the sport? He haven't done nothing. The young one is looking more better than him.
Who that?
Fuck no. I ain't never been knocked down a day in my life. I ain't never really been like hurt in no fight. Like far as, cause people took when I said this wrong. Like I got hit with a body shot before that I felt. They could like if you want to call that hurt. But I'm talking about like somebody hit you in the chin with like people say you chinny and all that kind of stuff. You ain't got no chin. I never like felt nothing, no chin shot where I was buzzed or hurt or nothing like that in no fight that I had. So, and sparring, fight, anything. So nah.
The Gervonta Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson feud has to be one of the fiercest in the boxing world. Both boxers have a strange history since their amateur days where they trained together on multiple occasions. And while fans have been demanding these two exceptional boxers fight it out in the ring, we've got nothing more than both fighters bad-mouthing each other. Tank especially has been vocal about Shakur's skills, or lack thereof. The Baltimore superstar boxer hasn't hesitated to take shots at the current WBO and Ring Magazine junior welterweight champion every opportunity he gets.
I wonder, Shakur is a quick boxer, a good guy, but do you think he would engage you enough to make it an entertaining fight? Or if you fought him, do you feel like it would be a bad fight because you'd be chasing him all night?
You know how it would go. Everybody in this room would know how it would go. I guess it'd be good for the sport if we...
Tank agrees that him versus Shakur is a great fight for the sport of boxing. Shakur, too, on several occasions has hinted just Tank is the opponent he'd love to face in the ring.
Who's next? I told y'all who I want to fight. I can't keep saying the same thing. I already told y'all who I want to fight. The best versus the best. That should be my next fight. I told y'all I'm a dog. I'm top level, elite level fighter. So let's make boxing great again. Let's put the best fighters in the ring with each other, and let's see who come out victorious.
If these two do fight it out in the ring, it makes for an entertaining fight with both boxers having equal opportunities at winning. This is going to be a fight between an exceptional attacker versus an exceptional defender. Tank has obviously gained a reputation for his explosive power and offensiveness, while Shakur has blossomed into one of the most defensively gifted boxers to have ever graced the boxing ring. Shakur has also shown that he's more than a defensive wizard, especially after his recent performances against William Zepeda and Teofimo Lopez. At this point, many believe that Shakur has sharpened his skills enough to neutralize Tank's power, but we'll never know until the two enter the ring and show the world what they're capable of.
Facts or cap, Shakur Stevenson can't beat Gervonta Davis.
Honestly, I think that's facts. We seen Tank last fight. We seen how much he got hit by Frank Martin. We also seen fake struggle with Pitbull. So I think when you get a technical fighter like Shakur Stevenson, he gonna break him down, and I don't think he gonna wait for that knockout to come like all his other fights.
Man, that's cap. I should just sit here and be quiet. I probably still win. People try to say he's not a boxer's boxer, but Tank is a real technician, and we all know he's second to none when it comes to power. They always just say people could take a punch, but it's a difference between a punch and a Tank punch. Shakur gonna have to just show me.
The boxing world is busy predicting this fight, debating over who possesses the better skill set, but most of them ignore the sparring sessions that took place years ago when these two were still amateurs. Tank and Shakur were already rivals by that point, but they still had a level of respect for one another. While Davis acknowledged that he was sparring an Olympian boxer, a young Shakur was grateful for being given the opportunity to spar a fighter who had already broken out to fame.
I've been training with Gervonta for this training camp for about 4 or 5 weeks. I feel it's a great experience for both of us. We both learning and getting a lot better off each other. Just being young and hungry, when we come into the gym, we get straight to the point. We grab our hands, get our stuff on, get in the ring. This is a rare experience. You don't really see two rock stars sparring each other and helping each other out. I'm glad I'm involved in it. Shakur been in the Olympics, showing me the different skills, different outlooks on the things that he learned. I'm predicting a knockout. Ain't gonna land too many clean punches. January 14th, I'm expecting Bo to go win the world title.
The sparring session between these two was reported to be a wild encounter, with both youngsters treating it like a legendary boxing match. However, the insider reports after the sessions were conflicting. Both teams felt like they had won the sparring session. Tank's coach Calvin Ford likes to keep the sparring session report a mystery, refusing to divulge much. While acknowledging that the sessions in Baltimore were competitive and heated, he pointed out that they served as crucial development for the young fighters as they began their professional careers. He avoids naming a definitive winner winner, instead framing the rounds as great work that showcase everyone's special talent.
Broner brought Tank to the gym when they sparred.
That was true. I wasn't there.
Right. But you were there when they sparred in Baltimore.
When they was at Devin's dad brought it to him. And actually, the true story, we didn't have no sparring for Tank. And God brought Devin's dad in the gym, and him and Tank worked. And it was great work on both behalf. And Devin's dad said, yo, that kid an animal, man.
So what happened? How many rounds did they go in your gym?
I think they did 3 or 4. I think they did 3 or 4.
And what? So that day you didn't have sparring, Devin and his dad walked in the gym?
Right, he just happened to call me. He came to Baltimore to get some work with Tank. You know what I'm saying?
And what happens when they sparred?
Oh, it was good work. You know, Devin dad got to see Tank work. Devin was young. You know, Tank was young too, just starting off in his pro career, you know, and Devin was eager to get in there with him. You know, he wasn't like one of the kids was scared. He reminded me when I put Shakur in the ring with Tank when he was young. And Tank said to me like, yo, this joker trying to get me. I said, that's how them young stunners is when they see a legend.
But Tank's a special talent. Shakur's a special talent.
Devin said that. Devin dad said that. You know, he's an animal. You know what I'm saying? So
he is an animal, but you need that in boxing if you want to win. 25-0, 24 knockouts is not a mistake.
You notice the stare down? See, Tank wasn't really trying to get you all.
You were up there. Tell me from your perspective, what happened up there?
No, it wasn't disrespectful. I told him
the
don't
stare
break.
was 3 minutes.
No, because Pitt wasn't breaking, so I told Tank don't break. That's how we get down. He ain't break. Then the guy kept telling Tank, you tell him to stop. You know what I'm saying? So if you won't break it, break them both up. You know what I'm saying? That is, look, so Tank just went on and turned around and put his hands up. Pitbull was right there. He's short. It wasn't personal. You know what I'm saying? You touch Tank will push you off.
Tank gave a little nudge, a little push, and he let him know it's business.
No, it's business. At the end of the day, he know how we get down.
Who won the first round, Calvin? Because Pitbull Cruz told me he's up 1-0 right now.
I can't tell. I don't.
No, he called that like round 1.
That wasn't round 1. Where was that?
No, the weigh-in.
The weigh-in, they both weighed in the same. They both made weight. They both stirred down. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that. I like to see when them punches start flowing. When them joints start coming out and they start popping them things, then we see who won the first, second, third, fourth. I trained for 12.
When Shakur was asked to reflect on the sparring session all those years ago, he vividly remembers the scenes in the boxing gym like it was yesterday. He pointed out that he didn't see the session as a competitive fight because he was still an amateur at that point, while Tank was on the verge of fighting for a world title against Jose Pedraza. He also refused to claim that he won the sparring battle in the gym, instead referring to it as good work, where both fighters made each other think before landing their shots.
I sparred before, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you have your story, he has his story about what happened. What really happened that day? Because isn't sparring supposed to be kept in the gym? Nobody's supposed to talk about it?
Nah, sparring was kept in the gym. It was kept in the gym. And then he got like, I don't know what was going on at the point of time that he just felt the way he felt. And he went on the air and said something funny, but nah, I think sparring still should stay in the gym. I think if I'm being honest about that sparring with me and him, it was like good work. It was like good work. Me and him, 2 smart fighters. I ain't gonna say, I felt like if it was a fight, I won, but it was good work. Like it was somebody, he made me think, I made him think. Like it was good work for both of us. So that's how I looked at it.
How long ago was that?
That was a minute ago. That was before I turned pro. I was an amateur at that time. That was right before his world title fight with Pedraza. Before the fight that
Shakur and Tank have come a long way since those early days in boot camp. Shakur has now become a 4-division world champion after beating Teofimo Lopez at junior welterweight, earning 2 belts in the process. Tank Davis, meanwhile, is a highly decorated professional, holding world titles across 3 weight classes: super featherweight, lightweight, and super lightweight as of 2025. However, there's a massive gap between the 2 superstar boxers. While Shakur has just come off after his spectacular victory over Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis hasn't fought in over a year. What's more, he hasn't won since June 2024 when he knocked out Frank Martin. The experts now believe Tank doesn't stand a chance against Shakur, who is one of the most feared and sought after boxers.
Who else Tank fought that could get him prepared for Sugar? Nobody, bruh. Right, Ryan. Sugar versus Oscar Valdez, Conceição, and Frank Martin. I think he'll be more prepared for Tank than Tank would be for him. I'm not saying Sugar wins. I'm just saying if you look at their resume, Sugar, he's more prepared.
Legendary boxing trainer Teddy Atlas holds Gervonta Davis in high regard. While he didn't compare Tank Davis to Shakur, he had some words of praise for Tank. Atlas describes Tank as an exceptionally complete and cerebral fighter who is far more than just a powerful puncher. He highlights Davis's mental discipline, noting that he stays patient and never lets the fight get ahead of him. Atlas characterizes his style as aggressively cautious, praising his ability to remain technically controlled and multi-dimensional. Ultimately, he credits Davis's success to a combination of physical talent, great hand speed, and a highly sophisticated boxing IQ.
What I will confirm, what I will validate, what I will second is that he's a hell of a fighter. That he's much more than what a lot of people thought he was, which was just a good puncher. He's a complete son of a gun. And not just physically and technically, but mentally. He thinks like a fighter. He behaves like a fighter in that ring. He is patient when he has to be patient. He is always contained and controlled. You know, I remember Michael Jordan, I think the greatest basketball player of all time. Everyone has their different, you know, it's subjective. But I remember one time he was saying, one of your greatest responsibilities is to never let the game get ahead of you. Never get outside the game. Never get outside the game. And he never lets the game, he being Davis, never lets it get away from him. Never lets it get ahead of him. He stays contained. He stays controlled. You know, he won't go in there. Even when he's being aggressive, he's taking little steps. Because he's all along the way, he's aggressively cautious. Aggressively cautious, where he understands the domain that he's in. There's never a moment where you don't understand. He's cerebral, I guess is what I'm saying. He's cerebral.
Atlas didn't stop there with his analysis. He used a colorful analogy to describe Davis's ring movement, comparing him to a superintendent with a massive key ring. Instead of rushing or making mistakes like some of his opponents, specifically citing the fights against Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. According to Atlas, Davis methodically searches for the exact right key opening to unlock his opponent's defense.
He reminds me of the old-time janitors, the superintendents in the big buildings, those big buildings, and they had a big brass key ring about this big with 1,000 keys on it. But every key, they knew that key was for a certain door to get into the building. When he's moving around, I'm saying he's the super with that big key ring, and he's looking for the right key to get in the door.
You're great with the analogies. I love that. I love the analogies.
And he finds the right key.
He does.
He doesn't walk into a room and like, bang, you know, oh my God, I shouldn't open that door. And a lot of guys do. Romero walked into that room. You know, Garcia walked into that room. You know, so he don't. And that's part of what separates him and makes him a guy that's one of the most complete fighters right now of all time.
Boxing Hall of Famer Roy Jones Jr. had a shocking analysis on this matchup. When asked recently to pick the winner of this fight, the Hall of Famer didn't hesitate to pick Shakur to defeat Tank Davis. Jones believes that Shakur's clean and disciplined lifestyle is the key to beating a Tank Davis who isn't in a great place right now. His antics outside the ring, including the latest legal troubles, has invited the criticism of many experts. Roy Jones Jr. feels that Shakur has the upper hand going into this fight purely because he's focused and has the experience against tough opponents. However, Jones had another surprising take on this fight. Jones believes that Tank is the only boxer who can figure out Shakur's defense and exploit it to his advantage. Tank possesses the tools required to break and penetrate Shakur's defensive wall and ultimately beat him. For that, however, he needs to be focused and disciplined just like Shakur is.
Yep. But who wins that fight right now, in your opinion?
Right now, Shakur wins it because of his discipline. Because he showed against Teofimo that he can stay very disciplined all night. And he's the type of guy, he don't really do a lot of crazy stuff in his life normally. So it's like discipline is a thing that is not only exercised inside the ring, it's exercised also outside the ring. And as we see, sometimes Gervonta has problems with discipline. But we have never seen Shakur have problems with discipline. We've seen him be more disciplined at the right times than we've seen him not have discipline. So With the fight being like it is right now, I would lean towards Shakur because of his discipline, but don't get it twisted. If somebody could beat him, Tank Davis would be that person because of his intangibles. When Tank is disciplined and got his mind on right, Tank is a problem for anybody. Because Tank can fight better than most people think he can. It's just that sometimes his outside antics get the better of him, and it makes people think less of him, but don't underestimate Tank Davis. If Tank is motivated and ready to fight, Tank is a problem for anybody.
While debates involving a fight between these two superstar boxers will never end, Tank Davis is expected to make a comeback this year. The 135-pound champion is mandated by the WBA to fight Floyd Schofield Jr., aka Kid Austin, this year, or else he loses his belt. We should expect to see Tank return to the ring by September in a fight that could eventually lead to a potential showdown with Shakur Stevenson in the next year or so.
The World Boxing Association Championships Committee has officially ordered the mandatory lightweight title bout between reigning champion Gervonta Davis and the division's #1 contender Floyd Schofield. The pioneering organization sent formal notification to both camps this Saturday, May 23rd, granting the parties a 30-day negotiation period that will expire on June the 22nd. Under championship rule C-10 title defense periods, champions in all divisions outside of heavyweight are required to defend their titles every 9 months from the date the championship was obtained. In Davis's case, his last appearance came on March 1st, 2025, when he retained the title via majority draw against Drawmont Roach, leaving the mandatory defense significantly overdue. Additionally, WBA rule C-13 bout limitation states that a champion may not compete against any boxer other than the official mandatory challenger within 60 days after the expiration of the mandatory defense period. The WBA will now allow the respective teams the allotted negotiation window to reach an agreement should the parties fail to come to terms, or if either side refuses to negotiate, the organization may proceed with a purse bid in accordance with its internal rules and
The Shakur versus Tank Davis fight has to be the biggest fight in the lightweight divisions. There's no doubt that these two will fight it out in the ring one day. But what do you make of this fight? Will Shakur best Tank and prove to the world why he's the defensive wizard? Or will Tank Davis use his explosive speed and power and cement his name in the legacy books forever? Let me know your prediction in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for interesting comparisons and fight news and updates. Until then, see you in the next one.